I'm Stephanie, standing on the dock by the lake, watching the sky turn a brilliant shade of gold as it bleeds into the water. I'm reminded of how far I've come. The cabin behind me, a gift from my grandfather in his will, has become my sanctuary, a place where I've found peace and clarity. But it wasn't always this way. A few months ago, I was in a hospital bed, my world turned upside down. I'd collapsed during an important pitch at work, and when I woke up, the doctor told me they'd called my parents. They said they were coming, but as hours turned into days, no one showed up. It was then that I received a notification on my phone. A photo from my sister, Lily, tagged me. In the picture, my parents, Lily, her husband, and their kids were at a beach resort, all wearing matching Hawaiian shirts. The caption read, "A perfect family day, no stress." It felt like a punch to the gut. They weren't just absent. They were celebrating without me. Looking back, I realized this wasn't a one-time thing. My family on the surface seemed picture perfect. My father, Henry, was a successful real estate developer, always dressed in expensive suits and exuding an air of arrogance. My mother, Victoria, was a socialite who spent her days at charity events. And then there was Lily, 2 years older than me, the golden child. When I was in high school, I worked tirelessly on a history project about local heritage. I spent weeks researching and presenting it at a school fair. My father gave it a cursory glance before rushing off to see Lily's art exhibition. She'd painted a series of abstract paintings that, in my opinion, were not as well thought out as my project. But he was beaming with pride, introducing her to all his friends. In the car on the way home, he said, "You should be more like your sister. Lily always knows how to shine." I was a good student, made the honor roll, and was part of the school's debate team. But Lily's achievements always overshadowed mine. When she got into a prestigious Ivy League school, my acceptance to a state university in another city was met with mild disappointment. I chose to go there precisely because it was far away, a chance to escape the constant comparison. In the city, I found a small studio apartment and landed a job at a marketing startup. I worked long hours, and each successful campaign was a small victory. I made friends with colleagues who invited me to happy hours and neighbors who shared their meals. But there was always an ache inside me, a longing for my family's recognition. Phone calls home were always the same. My mother would quickly move on to talking about Lily's new house or her promotion at work. When I told them about a big client I'd landed, my father would say, "That's nice," and then ask if I was dating anyone. I started to believe that distance was better, that I could be happy on my own. But then, the day of the pitch came. I'd been preparing for weeks for a major client. I was dressed in my best suit, feeling confident. The first part of the presentation went smoothly, but suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my head. The room started to spin, and I could barely hear my own voice. I collapsed, and the next thing I knew, I was in an ambulance. In the hospital, I was all alone. The silence was deafening. But then, a junior designer at my office, Maya, showed up. She'd brought my charger and some fresh clothes. I'd only known her for a few months, but here she was, when my own family was nowhere to be found. Later, a nurse named Ethan took over my care. He told me that many patients go through tough times alone and that the hospital staff was like a family. His words hit me hard because the word family had always been a source of pain for me. The test showed that I had a small tumor in my brain, and surgery was the only option. As I sat there, scared and alone, all I could think about was who would be by my side during the operation. Certainly not my family. 3 days into my hospital stay, my phone blew up with missed calls and a text. My grandfather, Arthur, had a stroke and was asking for me. I was furious. They'd ignored me when I needed them most, and now they wanted me because of him. But Grandpa Arthur was different. He was the only one who saw me for who I was, not in comparison to Lily. He used to send me handwritten letters encouraging me in my studies. When I called my father, he didn't even ask how I was. Instead, he accused me of not answering his calls. I told him calmly that I'd been in the hospital with a tumor. There was a long silence on the other end, and then he stammered, "Why didn't you tell us?" I shot back. The hospital did, but you chose a beach vacation over me. Later, we had a video call. My father was fumbling with the phone, my mother was in the background looking uncomfortable, and Lily was trying to get in the frame. But all I saw was Grandpa Arthur, looking frail in his hospital bed. He saw the bandage on my head and asked what had happened. When I told him I'd gone through the surgery alone, he was heartbroken. He turned to the others and said, "For years, you've favored Lily and ignored Stephanie. You've failed her, and I won't stay silent anymore." I spoke up and told them I didn't need apologies. I needed them to start seeing me, to make me matter. For the first time, they looked truly shaken. 2 weeks later, against my doctor's advice, I took a train to see Grandpa. When I walked into his room, he smiled weakly and said, "You came." I held his hand and said, "Of course I did. You've always been there for me." He passed away a few days later, but his last words gave me the courage to face my family. Now, my parents and Lily have reached out, but I'm not the same person I used to be. I won't bend over backwards for their approval anymore. It's the people like Maya and Ethan, who stood by me in my darkest hour, that I consider my true family. They're the ones who proved that family isn't always about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them the most.